I love to use those dry spring roll wrapper. You put them in water to soften, takes about a minute, and then you can fill them up. In that case, I'm putting sardine, I'm putting some green, I'm putting onion, pimientos. I mean, you can put a little bit of vinegar, oil, salt and pepper, and this is it. You roll it into a nice tight roll, and you serve it right on top of salad cut in half, and you have a delicious first course. I'm Jacques Pépin, and this is Fast Food My Way. Happy cooking! One of the great treats of the summer for me is to make pasta with a lot of vegetable out of the garden. And I start cooking pasta here. I have some shell. I have some pasta shell cooking. You can use other type of pasta. And I'm going to do that with all of those fresh vegetables, a kind of salad mixed with pasta. I think the recipe originated with my friend Ed Giobbi, with a professional artist, but a great cook. He has several cookbooks. And when we were at Le Cirque, before it opened in 1976, he was there with Sirio, and Sirio, the owner of the Cirque, said, Ed, do you know any recipe that we could use, something different with pasta? And Ed said, well, my grandmother in Italy used to do a pasta primavera. And then pasta primavera became quite famous. It's on all over the menu, and with a lot of different variations, sometimes with cream, sometimes one thing or another. But originally, it was really a kind of salad, of vegetable, mostly tomato. Sometimes I do it only with tomato. And toss at the last moment. In that case here, I'm doing some mushroom. Those are not, of course, from my garden, but I do pick up a lot of wild mushroom, which usually I would not use raw any. So mushroom, you can put other type of herb that you have in your garden, of course. You can put a little bit of onion. Remember, it's not going to be cooked, so the onion may be a bit strong. So here I have plenty of mushroom, just coarsely chopped, and tomato, of course. So you want, tomato is the base of it, and you really want to have some nice ripe tomato. And those so-called ugly tomato are nice and ripe and soft, and that's what you want. I should have plenty vegetable here. With this, you can put it directly in the bowl where you're going to serve it in. Bring it directly from the table this way. And now a great deal of seasoning. You put a good dash of olive oil, plenty of salt and pepper. And in full summer, when the vegetable are at room temperature, it's okay, but sometimes what I do, I put this directly in the microwave oven for like a minute or so to soften the vegetable a little bit if they are too cold. What I do also, put a little bit of the juice of the pasta, to soften it. So here I have a nice salad. I'm going to check on my pasta. And yeah, that's it. Cooked enough. Let's drain the pasta here. This is a beautiful strainer, Easy. You want to toss it a little bit because the shell, you're going to have some, a fair amount of water inside. And we put plenty Parmesan cheese on top. You want to toss the whole thing. So, it's almost half vegetable and half pasta here. And I like to finish it up with basil on top. A lot of basil, and you just crush it this way because I love it this way. Let me check it. Maybe a dash more of oil. And this is it. You know, before you put the pasta in the bowl, the mixture that you have, that mixture of vegetable, the pasta, of course, is a starch. You do the same thing. The panzanilla, which is a type of bread salad, which I have here, and it's the same mixture that I have in the bottom with layer of bread in between. And you know, I love to use one of those old, old, day-old type of rough, country bread. It goes so well with it, and all the juice is absorbed in it. So that's a great variation. One of my favorite berries is certainly the raspberries. And when I get a lot in summer, sometimes I put them on tray and freeze it. Or you can buy them like that in package. Be sure to buy IQF, individually quick frozen, so there is no sugar or anything in it. And strangely enough, you will realize sometime that your frozen berry is better than the fresh one, unless you really have good fresh one. That is, if I do a sherbet, I'm going to do a puree or a gratin like this, then I often look at the frozen one rather than the fresh one. So this one, you just put your berry right on top of it. One of them, we're going to cover it with cookies. Very simple recipe. I have those butter cookies here. So, you can use this and even a bit of that to crack it. That's this, in pieces. And this one we're going to do with that crumbly cookie on top. Here it is, about 1/3 of a cup or so. A little piece of butter, maybe like 1-2 teaspoons. A bit of extra sugar, because remember, those are unsweetened berries. And I like that particular shortbread because it's very, very rich, and remind me of cookie that I used to have as a kid. So that's one variation. I mean, you can do many variations with it. The second one, we use chocolate chip cookie. Why? Because chocolate and raspberry go well together, So you can just crumble your cookie right on top of it this way. Again, the same thing. So you can imagine right there the variety that you can have just with this. I have done that with blueberry, with strawberry, and they all come out pretty good. I mean, at the last moment when guests come out unexpectedly, I always have berry in the freezer, grab them, in 2 minutes it's done. So that goes into the oven, 375 degrees, takes about 15 minutes or so. And while it's cooking, you want to eat that lukewarm, that's the best, We're going to do some asparagus and fish, 2 different dishes. When I buy asparagus, I buy the big fat asparagus. You can see those have very tight head, like a flowers, the bud of a flower. That's what you're looking for, and very tough. Now look at those here. It's like a flowers where the petal is already opening. So this is an older asparagus, it's softer, so you want to go toward those. Now these asparagus are tender, probably up to here, then start having a bit of fiber. So you want to take that fiber out from the end. You need a vegetable peeler like this, because otherwise you have to cut it off and it's a shame. So you peel it this way and then break it at the end here. Now that piece here, just as tender at the end. Now you save money. Those asparagus, I'm going to cut them in pieces, and we're going to do that with shallots. And I have some shallots here, and I will slice the shallot very coarsely. You can use onion if you want, or scallion, but I like the shallot are mild. And very often the asparagus are poached, or sauteed. In that one, we just put them directly in the skillet, and they're going to be sauteed directly in olive oil with the shallots. A nice way of doing it, a bit different. So my asparagus, I line them up if you want like this, so that you can cut them on a bias. That's it, in pieces. This is Chinese style, and in Chinese cooking you cook a lot of things on a bias like this. This is what my friend Martin told me, so 3, 4 pieces. You will have a different taste in those asparagus when they are sauteed like this without actually any water before, you know. A more concentrated taste. This actually, we did the pasta before. It's a great thing with pasta. You know, you have your pasta, you put a bit of olive oil on top, drain it, put your asparagus in it, cooked asparagus at that point, and that's it. You know, salt and pepper in this. Maybe a bit of pepper. Okay. Now in that skillet here, I have a bit of water, and what I'm going to do is to cook some onion in there. And I want to cook onion and tomato to create a sauce for the fish. And I have those large red onions. Boy, those are big. I'm going to slice this thinly sliced onion. You know, one thing that we do in professional kitchen, we use water a lot. Sometimes you use water purely as a carrier. That is in a recipe which tells you cook your onion until they are nice, tender, and don't let them brown. Well, usually you put them in a skillet and then they start browning. So what we do in the skillet, you put a bit of water. Maybe I have a bit too much water here, but I can always take a little bit out. So a little bit of water and a bit of olive oil or butter. And what happens is that the water will boil, eventually evaporate, and by the time it's evaporated, you're down again with the butter or the olive oil there. But by then, your onion is cooked and didn't pick up any color. So it's nice and tender. So I have about a good 2 cups of onion here, which is good. This should be covered. That will soften the onion. So those are very ripe tomatoes, soft, and that's what I want. You don't have to take the skin out of it. You don't have to take the, the skin, the seed. It's fine. Here we are. You have about 2 cups of the onion, and you would have about at least as much tomato, or about the same amount of tomato. You know, in those recipes, the proportions are not very crucial. Doesn't really matter that much. So here, sometime, when it's the summer, I have those in the garden, so I get crazy. I may do 3 dishes in a row with tomato in it. And people tell me, well, you do a menu, you already use this in that. Yes, I don't really care. So, my onions are getting softer now. I think I can put my tomato in there. I forget whether I put salt or not into it. No salt yet. So I want to put salt, pepper. Maybe I still cover it a minute to get it soft, so it's time to cook the fish. It's important, with the fish I use a big stainless steel pot here. And that's important. I wouldn't want to use aluminum really, and the reason is that you will have discoloration. Not only discoloration, but I'm going to use white wine. And you'll have reaction with the aluminum and the white wine. So it's better to use stainless steel for that. Now I take the cover out of this. Hope you're not getting confused. This is onion and tomato. This is the base for the fish, which I'm going to poach there. This is another dish altogether. Actually, you know what? I think that dish is ready, so I'm going to plate it. And this is very concentrated asparagus, you know, this way. I have beautiful red snapper. You can see those fillets are very glossy. You keep the skin there. The skin has been scaled, of course. And I'm going to put some white wine in there. Ooh. My pan was hot. It's good. See, when you do alcohol in there, very often people don't realize that by the time the alcohol gets to be about 180 degrees, the alcohol evaporates, you know, in the form of vapor. And with that evaporation, actually, most of the calorie that you have in your alcohol goes with it. You know, most of the calorie you have in alcohol is in the alcohol itself, and the process of cooking it makes it evaporate. So you're left with a bit of residual sugar. I like to taste the wine. So let's see where it goes. That fish will poach relatively fast. Not quite. And this here is going to be ready. As you can see, it's practically totally reduced. I have a little bit of juice left in the bottom. So we're going to put some of those beautiful chives on top of our fish, because we're going to have a cream sauce and it's going to be quite rich. Ready. And you know, the wine, people often ask, you know, what type of wine should I serve with this, that now we mix so much red wine with fish or other. It's purely a question of taste, frankly. I don't agree with so-called cooking wine, because there is no cooking wine, there is just wine. Some are good, some are no good. And if you cannot drink it, you certainly cannot cook with it. You know, so it should be at least good enough to be able to drink it, you know. So here is my bed of tomato, and then you can see that now those are just barely cooked. So this, you know, I would probably normally keep them maybe in a 150 degree oven or so, you know, just to keep it warm. Let me see this. 4 beautiful fillets here. All right. And now the reduction here, we're going to do a reduction with a little bit of cream. Another thing with cream, you know, people always get terrorized. Cream. Well, many of the dishes that I eat, starting with grilled, have more calories than the one that I do with cream. People will put 4 or 5 tablespoons of olive oil, you know, on a piece of meat that they're going to grill, and there is 130 calories, you know, in a tablespoon of oil. Whether it's light oil or olive oil or whatever oil it is, it's always about 130 calories. You have about 45 calories in a tablespoon of cream. So, you know, you put 4 or 5 tablespoons. Like here I have maybe a third of a cup, half a cup. For 4 people, it really doesn't amount to much. So there, let me taste it. Still a dash of salt. Very good, the reduction. Now I could let it reduce to concentrate the flavor, or actually take a little bit of potato starch. You can take potato starch, you can take even corn starch here, and dilute it with liquid. Any type of starch has to be diluted in liquid, otherwise when you touch something hot, it seizes, you know, and you have nice little dumpling all over the place. After you dilute it here, you pour a little bit, see, you pour a little bit and you stir it. And it tells you exactly where you are. It thickens right on contact. You want a dash more? Okay, you put a dash more. That's about enough for me here. I think I'll put a little bit of pepper in there on the sauce. And basically, this is it. So, you know, when you do that type of dish, you know, you don't do it too much ahead, because it cooks quite fast, you know. As you can see here, we have a little bit of this. And of course, you can, if you want, finish like my asparagus. I did it with a bit of olive oil. You can finish it with butter if you want, but that's plenty rich this way. This is red snapper on a bed of tomato coulis and the sauteed asparagus. beautiful little gratins. They are ready now. You would not actually serve them boiling hot like that as they are boiling around. As you can see, this is the one darker in color, and that's the one with the chocolate cookie. And that's the other one. Lukewarm, that's the best, you know. And lukewarm, you can serve them just by itself. However, you can serve them with sour cream, with crème fraîche, or if you're in the mood, you can whip some cream. So here I have some cream, preferably cold. You should always have it cold when you do this. I put the sugar directly in it. Some people put it at the end. I think it's immaterial. Then in flavor here, I have a Grand Marnier, which is orange, would go very well. On the other hand, the rum, you know, with the chocolate will go very well too. Or you know what? A little bit of vanilla and no booze in it, it's okay too. Doesn't really matter that much. Question of taste. Take a whisk, you know, with large, a lot of thread like this. And if I were to whip egg white, for example, I'll go and lift up the egg white, you know, to beat it. You don't do that with cream, otherwise it turns into butter. You go in an emulsion back and forth like this. Now, actually, when I'm at home, you know, where I do that, I go directly in the sink. Because being in the sink to start with, it's lower. So it's easier for me to do. And whatever splatter doesn't get all over the place, so my wife is really happy when I whip the cream in the sink, you know. So you go back and forth in that type of emulsion. And remember that there is different type of whipped cream. For example, the cream, it's about almost halfway whipped now. And as I said before, a tablespoon of cream is about 45 calories. However, when you whip the cream, it goes about 2.5 times the volume that you had at the beginning. So that lower your amount of calories per tablespoon of cream, of course. And as you see, when you're tired, you change hand. I mean, the idea really is to work just with your hand, you know, without moving your whole arm. And this is nice. I have a nice peak here. This is what you want with whipped cream. As you can see, I have a lot of it here. So this can be served with the sour cream. Let's say we put the sour cream in the middle of the one with the chocolate. And here we'll put this one. Actually, you know, I like that one. This looks good. I think I'm going to have to taste it, you know, especially the one with the chocolate here. It's too hot. It's too hot to eat now, but again, 5 minutes it's going to be delicious. You cannot have an easier dessert than this one to make. Do it with fresh berry during the summer, or extend the season to winter and do it with frozen berry. One way or the other, it's going to be great. Enjoy. Happy cooking.